today's immigration tidbit. I've received a list of questions from an interested student who would like to know a lot about immigration law and things about how I got into it. So I'm going to make this video. Hopefully that'll answer both the student and anyone else who has generalized questions. So the first is, how do you spell your first name or your name? It's Brian, Brian, D as in David, and then Lerner, Lerner. How did you first come to know about or get interested in immigration law? Well, when I got out of law school over 35 years ago, give or take, I went into insurance defense for a few years and I hated it. So I did have some interest in immigration law. I got an abridged version, and abridged by I mean it was like this big of a book, and I read it and it was very interesting. And it just so happens that a position opened up that was half civil litigation, which I had 3 years experience, and half immigration, which I had no experience. And when I went, I really liked the immigration. It helps people, it changes their lives, they're very grateful, and it's got a whole world of things you can do with immigration. So then after that, I ultimately opened up my own firm, and here I am 30 some years later. What type of work do you do on a daily basis? Well, that depends. As a transition from the prior answer, in the morning, I could be working on a deportation case against someone or for someone who's, they're trying to deport. Um, and then in the afternoon, I could work on an investment visa case where the person has $500,000 that they want to invest in a business in the U.S., which again is one reason I like immigration, because it's all over the place. And then, of course, running a firm, I do a lot of, administrative stuff, but it does vary day to day. What are the steps needed to be taken in order to immigrate to America? Well, honestly, I could talk for the next 10 hours on how that's done, because there are many different ways. And that's why, for example, when someone sends me an email and says, what will it take to do this and that, and they don't give me any facts, I need to give a consultation. There are employment-based ways, there are family-based ways, there are what are called diversity lottery-based ways, there are being victim of crime ways, there are asylum-related ways. There's all different kinds of ways in order to immigrate to the U.S. Okay? Based on your clientele, what are the main reasons for present-day immigration? Well, as bad as the political landscape is these days, with honestly, with the MAGA Republicans and the power struggles and trying to decrease democracy and all of the gun violence, still America is one of the best countries in the world to come to. And still there are countries out there that people want to escape to come here to the US. And also, it's a capitalistic country, so people come here and they have democracy, freedom, they can start their own business. So even with all the bad stuff, it's still one of the best countries to come to. And that's the bottom line why people want to come here. It's to be honest, it's much more difficult to immigrate to the U.S. than if you go to other countries. Other countries, it's way, way easier, because it doesn't have the demand that the U.S. has. Okay. In what ways has immigration changed and or become more difficult in the 21st century? Well, it's actually getting better now because Biden is president. I can tell you, I've gone in immigration law, I've gone through several different presidents, and they many times will help dictate the policy of immigration, whether it's going to be easy or not. And I can tell you, when Trump was in office, uh, it was just one hurdle after another, trying to strip away rights and trying to make it more difficult to come into the U.S. or to stay here. Now, given that, there is, of course, the Immigration and Nationality Act. There's the Foreign Affairs Manual. There's all kinds of Code of Federal Regulations. There's all kinds of laws and cases and regulations on immigration. And so you really have to look at the fact that there's two types of immigration. There's legal immigration and then illegal immigration, and each has its own ways of trying to through the system to try to make it here to the U.S. Um, are there different ways to gain citizenship? If so, please describe. Well, as with all of the multiple ways of immigrating, again, I could be here for the next several hours talking about the different ways. But yes, there are. There's the normal naturalization. That's where someone has had a green card for several years, and depending on the situation, 3 or 5 years after, they can apply for citizenship. There's also what's known as derivative citizenship or acquisition of citizenship. That is where someone is not born in the U.S., yet for various reasons and various laws, they are deemed to be a U.S. citizen. In fact, I've had a couple cases. One case where one guy he was an older gentleman. He was in deportation proceedings. They were going to deport him, and after I did the necessary research and so forth, found he was actually a U.S. citizen. So we got the case dismissed, and he went on his merry way. All right. Have your attitudes towards this topic changed since you were first introduced to it? Yes. Yes, I don't think there's any way around that. Part of it is just the knowledge that one gains. Of course, when I was first introduced to it, I didn't know all of the things I know now in regards to immigration. I mean, right now I can see all kinds of issues with every single case and how to, best attack it and best try to give the client the way of, getting here to the U.S. And of course, I could see certain attitudes changing depending where the person comes from and so forth. Okay. Is there something about immigration that you think no one knows? Well, there's tons of stuff about immigration that no one knows. One thing I found is a lot of people think because, they go on the internet and they research for 15 minutes that they know the particular subject, they know what to do. Okay, just because they find something on the internet about it. Immigration is like a 10,000 piece puzzle, and when you put one piece in, it affects something on the complete opposite side of the puzzle. So there's a ton of stuff people don't know, and all the more reason that they need to make sure that what they're doing is taking the right path to get what they need. All right. Is there anything else you would like to inform me about? Well, um, it's like each subject of immigration has sub subjects, and you could keep going down to, be able to get more detailed. But what I would say is if you're, a student and you're interested ultimately in becoming a lawyer, you can't um, you can't specialize in immigration in law school. I mean, I think I took one class in it. That was it. Um, you have to learn how to make legal arguments and how to go so forth. And then, if you want, I can send you the link to that one abridged book. It's good reading. It's only a few hundred pages, but when you look at the fact immigration and everything with it is thousands of pages, it's a good deal. Do you know someone that could give me additional information about this topic? Well, I mean, there's AILA, the American Immigration Lawyers Association, which I'm part of. They have like 15,000 lawyers now all over the U.S., and they have a very good distribution system of information, so they may be able to give you additional information. Okay, well, I hope this answers all your questions. I hope the people who are watching benefit, get a little taste of what immigration law is like. Okay,